Hi, welcome back. Okay, so now I want to look at some of our ways that we think every day, some of the common thinking patterns that all humans have can really hinder our ability to see clearly or to see the whole picture, if you will. So, one of those processes is called hindsight bias, and that is the indication to see events that have already occurred as being more predictable than they were before they took place. So we call this the I knew it all along phenomenon, if you will. So an example would be you're cleaning and you put a platter on the edge of the counter, and 5 minutes later you knock it over. And you say to yourself, I knew I shouldn't have put it on the edge of the counter. I shouldn't have put it there. I should have just put it away. So that would be hindsight bias, because we believe that we knew that we were going to knock it over. But if you didn't knock it over, you would have never thought about that again. It would never have occurred to you. The problem is that too often we didn't know it all along. It feels like we do when we have this experience with the platter breaking, but we don't. So the phenomenon, which researchers refer to as hindsight bias, is one of the most widely studied decision traps, and it has been documented in various domains, including medical diagnosis, accounting and auditing, decisions, athletic competitions, and even political strategy stuff. So ultimately, hindsight bias matters because it gets in the way of learning from our experiences. If you feel like you knew it all along, it means you won't stop to examine why something really happened. So that can be pretty detrimental. Another a way that we get caught by our own thinking is the thing called overconfidence. People tend to think that they know more than they do. After we know the answer, we think we always knew it. We think it's easy. It leads us to believe that we know when we don't really know. Probably all of us have experienced this. In the PowerPoint presentation, if you look at it, you'll see I have a word and it's scrambled. And I ask, tell me how long you think it would take to unscramble this word. And most people guess like 10 seconds or so, but it actually takes 30 seconds. The word is chaos. It actually takes over 3 minutes to solve the problem. But most people assume that it's going to be quick and easy, especially after they know the answer. So if you know that it's chaos and you see the word scrambled, it's easy to assume, oh yeah, like in 30 seconds I would have that, no problem. But it's really, it takes on average about 3 minutes for a person just to unscramble the word chaos. Perceiving order in random events is we want to make sense of our world. So we perceive patterns to make sense of things even when they're random. Even in unrelated data, people find order. If you flip a coin 5 times, you're just as likely to get all heads as a combination of heads and tails. Yet most of us would view all heads as a streak, something special, right? So it's interesting. We like to perceive random. We like to perceive order, and that makes us invalidate what random events happen. It's curious because fraud experts have been alerted with embezzlement cases because criminals made their numbers too random. They made them too random. They knew that this was a red flag because it was not normal. It was beyond random. Okay. Let's see. So now let's get into the scientific method. We have 3 questions. So number 1 is we have a question and a theory. A theory is what explains and organizes lots of different observations and predicts the outcome. The hypothesis is our testable prediction. And then we test with a replicable experiment. So the reason it's important to make an experiment able to be repeated is that the more often it is repeated by other psychologists, the more validity the findings have. So the scientific method, yes, so being able to repeat it is very key. Now we use this word operational definition is one of the ways that we help create an ease so that other people can duplicate it easy. So operational definition means that we clearly define terms so the experiment can be easily replicated. So we might say if we need people with lack of sleep, we wouldn't say the group that we're testing is sleep deprived. No, we would say something like 2 hours or less of sleep for 2 consecutive nights. So do you see how that makes it very clear so somebody could duplicate my experiment? Whereas if I say sleep deprived, I'm going to have a different definition of sleep deprived than you. So that would make it difficult. Okay. So now I am going to, when we meet later today, I'm going to talk about ways to test a hypothesis, and I'm going to talk about correlation measures. So those we're going to do live because I think they're complex and it will serve us better to do them with a dialogue. So I'm going to stop this video here and then I'll check back in with you in just a few minutes.